Let's talk about Cummins. Hi, I'm Matthew Leffler, and today we're going to talk about a deal that was announced earlier this week where Cummins is set to acquire Meritor for $3.7 billion with a B. This is interesting. Cummins is one of the major manufacturers of engines in the world. For Class 8s, they have about 35% market share. But that's not enough anymore. You need to think big. You need to think very big to be competitive in this supply chain. And Cummins is doing just that, thinking big. Now, they've done some acquisitions and some joint ventures over the last few years. They're very interesting. Things like hydrogenics. There's a 50% share they have with Momentum Fuel Technologies with Rush Enterprises. They also recently acquired Jacobs Vehicle Systems, which is the Jake brake, if you don't know that. The reality here is that in the world of electric vehicles or just different powertrains, the way the internal combustion motor works is going to be changing. They're going to be making new types of ways to move the things that we have to move. And that requires thinking just beyond the whole engine and thinking about the whole system, the whole assembly. The engine, the transmission, the brakes, and the axles, these are the components that are necessary for electric vehicles. What I find fascinating about this is one of the quotes in an article that I'm going to put here in the show notes, and I'll put a couple because I think they're going to be interesting for you. But at a high level, Cummins has, again, 35% market share in Class 8 engines. But they have to be more valuable to their customers. We talk about this all the time. The product that you get is linked to the supply chain that brings it to you. The idea that Amazon can bring you anything you want directly to your door is the battle for the doorstep. That product, whatever the item is, and how it gets there are inseparable. The product and the supply chain are united. It's the same kind of idea when you think about time and space. If I said, let's meet at the mall, your first question would be, when? And where is the mall? So there's an element of time and there's an element of place. These things are inseparable. The product and how the product gets there are inseparable. And in this business, either you're the one delivering it or you're helping the company that's going to make the delivery. And that's what Cummins is betting on here, I think. There's a great quote. I'm going to read it to you from the CEO of Cummins talking about this acquisition with Meritor, Tom Lineberger. He says, "We think we can be at the table now for pretty much every negotiation for who is going to supply what." So, that's an interesting statement. It's no longer enough to be the main category winner in a specific area. You can't just be great at one thing. You need to be great at many things. This causes a lot of frustration and challenges for everybody in the supply chain, but we've seen this already. We've seen this game play out. AP Maersk just bought Pilot Freight Systems, the final mile delivery company. I think it was Omnitrax bought Spirion, the combining of telematics providers. This is the era of acquisition. This is the time of consolidation. There will still be a lot of startups and companies jumping up and becoming big and important and powerful. But right now, what we're seeing is that certain companies are being acquired because they have a market penetration that really matters. And I like to think about this deal with Cummins and Meritor in terms of trailers. Oh, I love trailers. I'm a big fan of trailers. It's where all the stuff that you buy is in, and that's how you get it delivered to any place in the world. It's a 53-foot box. Meritor is a critical supplier, a critical partner for trailer manufacturers all across North America. I, again, assume the world. I don't know. This gives Cummins an opportunity to learn about a customer segment they didn't really know a ton about, trailers. Now, you can't have an autonomous truck without a motor. We understand that, whether it's electric or diesel or whatever iteration of some hybrid might be. But the other thing you have to have for an autonomous truck is a smart trailer, smart axle, be able to tell you what the tire pressure monitoring system is doing, or any number of different sensors are on these axles that can produce data that is useful for a fleet. So, as I get close to the 5-minute mark, I realize I've talked a little bit about Cummins and Meritor. $3.7 billion with a B. Engine, transmission, brakes, and axles. What Cummins hopes to do is help their customer understand and spec whatever they need to do the work that's required. Because at the end of the day, the product and the supply chain that brings you that product are absolutely inseparable.